We're going to try some brand new three-way action here on GRTV at the Mix E3 2016. We've got Dóri playing Gonner here, and he's going to try and be successful, I think, going for that. It's the new game from Raw Fury Games. You're the publisher, of course, and Ditto, and what's the studio called?
Ditto, it's called Art and Heart.
Art and Heart, that's a beautiful name for a studio. And we're here at the Mix looking at the most recent build. For those who are unfamiliar with this game, how would you describe it?
This game's like an action platformer. You're a little character called Dyke. It's very reminiscent of old school classic platformer shooter games like Mega Man X and that era of games where it's really tight controls. You have wall sliding, double jumps, and like crazy things that you can do. You have a lot of different crazy weapons, and we focus really heavily on the controls. We're always emphasizing controls and putting a lot of effort into making sure they're really tight, and then creating a really beautiful kind of exotic, organic environment. So the art style is very specific and very important to the style, where you have this dark backgrounds and your characters are lighting up the environment. So as characters move away or you defeat enemies, the area becomes dark where they were left behind. So
I think it's the kind of game where it's a good thing that art style makes you smile, because the gameplay might not make you smile, if you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's a cool looking environment, and and you're like, it's, I don't want to call it cute because that's maybe the wrong way to describe it, but it's like, like you said, it makes you smile. It's really stylistic characters. They're characters that you find really appealing, but then the gameplay is very brutal. But like going back to the tight controls, it's like when you play it, like the thing is we want you to go, okay, I should have done this. And then when the controls are always responding how you think they should work, then you can improve and you get better. And it's like at first it feels really difficult, but then you start to breeze through these other ones, and that's the whole key thing, is because it's roguelike style game. So maybe you make it to the third world and you're getting close to getting to the fourth one and getting to the end of that session, and then you die and then you go all the way back to the beginning, which is so mean.
It is interesting with the roguelike style, as you put it. What elements of a roguelike are in there, and what kind of things have you sort of eased up on a little bit?
Yeah, the roguelike things is mostly it's that you die and you have to start from the beginning.
Procedural?
We don't have the RPG elements. Yeah, but we have the procedural elements to it. You're not leveling up your character in those kind of same ways. When you get unlocks, you get to keep them. So you don't lose those, and you don't have to reacquire them while you're playing in that one session playthrough. So I'd say those are the big things that the things that we did use and the things we didn't use from the more hardcore roguelike.
I think the upgrades and the weapon stuff is hilarious how it's been implemented as well. Can you care to expand on that?
Sure. So everything has like really awesome pros and then really harsh cons. So we always go with that. So there's this ghost head that it makes your enemies explode. So if you use a ranged weapon and you're shooting far away, that will blow up, and it'll blow up the enemies that are close to it as well. So you can take out quite a few enemies. But when you're really close, or if you head jump on one of them and it blows up, and then it hurts you at the same time. So it's like, drastic, harsh cons to the drastic, awesome pros. So like we have an electrical gun and it zaps through and it chains through them, but it only hits them once. So if it's chaining through, you can't shoot again. So if you have an enemy really close to you, you have to like run and dodge them. And there's just a lot of little things going on that kind of make it. And different ones have different amount of ammunitions. If you have the laser like he has right now, there's a kickback to it. And
you have to find your head.
Yeah, and you have to find your head, and you have shorter amount of ammunition, so you have to reload more often, and there's a delay in that. So those are different elements cause different things to be happening as well.
So I
just want to watch. I kind of
we go quiet. I think you're doing a good job talking, right? So I'm gonna ask you a typical publisher question. What's the roadmap ahead with this game? Where where is it right now? I understand that the reason why the developer isn't here is because they're working hard.
Yeah,
you're pushing them. You're cracking the whips.
Actually, he's doing that. So our style is we're kind of laid back, and we're really choosy with who we work with because we want to work with people we can trust. We don't have milestone checks and things like that. He does what he wants. The game has morphed and changed organically based on what he likes and doesn't like, based on what we've seen at GDC when we met with you guys, then when we were at PAX East. He got a lot of feedback from that, and a lot of watching people play, you learn so much. And he's iterated and changed those and tweaked them, and we just lay back and say, do what you want. And he really wants to get to a point where he can kind of start wrapping things up. So I'd say it's really close to feature complete. We don't want to use the traditional terms of alpha and things like that because they're kind of ambiguous, and it's very old school kind of manufacturing style way of approaching the development. So we're just like, okay, we want all the key features in there, and we want to be able to start and finish the experience. And there's the key things in there. So that's what he wanted to do himself. So he's self-policing his own development.
That is cool. And you mentioned something else there, because you sort of almost came out with a creed or like a motto or like a thing about how you want to be a publisher and why you're doing this. Recently, just after the release of Kathy Rain, should you, in your own words, say what it is that why you feel it's needed to have sort of a different style publisher out there?
Yeah, I mean, we're myself and Jonas who started it. We're former developers, right? So we wanted to create a company that reflected what we wished we could have worked with. So we want to make a company that we would have wanted to work with as a developer. And being that we're older and hopefully wiser, we can help these younger, newer developers that really have so much talent, and they just need somebody who could partner with them and that treats them as an equal and shares the risk and shares the reward together as a team. And we can give advice when it's needed. For example, Kingdom, that we also published, the devs wanted me to come in and help them with the gameplay design and how the experience interacted. And since my background is in development and design and things like that, I was able to go in and help them. So we have we can do so many things and funding. But with Kathy Rain, we wanted to take an interesting approach. We knew that wasn't a game that out the gate was going to sell like gangbusters. It's a point-and-click adventure. It's hard even for the veteran guys to get their, to sell their games a lot on launch. But those are timeless games, so they'll continue to sell and they have a really strong long tail. So we're continuing to fund the developer, and the game will just pay itself back, and he can do whatever he wants. And so we just want we want every developer we work with, whether the game sells gangbusters at launch or it sells well over time, to be able to continue doing what they love. And that's our I guess that's our motto, is we want to be a company that's for happiness and not the main thing is for profit.
That's cool. All right, I think we had success.
You beat the boss?
I finished the boss room that I couldn't do at GDC.
So I think beer is the answer, right?
Beer is the answer for this game.
Or has the difficulty been turned down now?
No, it's actually harder than it was at GDC. So I'm very impressed. It's a hard game. But like we said, once you start mastering the controls, and like you could just see right in this element, the first time he jumped in, he was dying, but then you start to learn these tricks. You find the right equipment that really matches your playstyle, and I think that's really critical as well. It's like, what do I really like? I like different equipment setups than David, and and then Ditto likes different equipment and setups, and everybody finds their own unique flavor and the experience of how they're going to master this and make it through, and that's the fun part.
Cool. And it's coming out on Steam. That's the plan. Do you have any console ambitions for this as well?
Absolutely. I mean, who doesn't? So right, and I think because the consoles have changed so drastically, and there's a lot of smaller publishers can get on and actually put stuff out there. It's not such a walled garden like it was in the past. And we have a lot of friends and great contacts at Sony and PlayStation and Nintendo and Xbox, and so we have all these friends there because we've been in the industry a long time, so that kind of is a good favor for us. And yeah, and then we're also going to be on GOG with Gonner. So we're going to start on PC. I think PC is a great platform because you have such a savvy audience. Not that console gamers aren't savvy as well, but I think PC gamers, since you're building your rigs typically and you have to put a lot more effort into your machine, we get great feedback on that. And I think Steam's setup and GOG, where you have forums that you can go to and your gamers gather there really easily, then you have a great feedback loop. So we can improve our games and make them much, much better, and then bring out a much more polished experience to the console, where it's a little more difficult still to kind of iterate in the same way you can on PC.
Yeah, and also you will come there with sort of a ready-made audience already endorsing, hopefully, the game.
Yeah, exactly.
I think we're gonna wrap it up there, and probably have to pull Dóri off the station, because knowing him, I think we missed an appointment last time he was playing this. So thank you so much for your time.
Bad for the other guys. It's always great seeing you.
Cool.